Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Power Retail webinar for today, Improving the User Experience and Increasing Revenue Through Site Search. My name's Grant Arnott and I'm the editor and publisher of Power Retail, and very pleased to see so many people joining the webinar today. I'd like to firstly introduce our two presenters who will be helping me present this for you today. First off, Wes Blundy, who's the Director of E-Commerce for Diva Online. Diva Online sells fashion-forward costume jewellery to online customers around the world. Diva also has over 570 stores worldwide, including 190 across Australia and New Zealand, and stores in Europe, Asia and Southern Africa. Before that, Wes founded the community portal Our Helensburgh for the small community in New South Wales. He's got a background in international trade and customs law, including working for PwC as a manager in the International Trade and Customs Consulting practice. Also, I'd like to welcome Mark Brixton, who's the Asia Pacific Country Manager for SLI Systems. Mark works with some of Australia's most prominent companies, helping them to improve the customer experience and performance of their websites. His innate ability to evaluate and understand business needs, along with his knowledge of online solutions and trends, makes him a respected authority within the wider industry. I'd like to now introduce the topic and I guess talk a little bit about why I think today is very important and hope you get something out of it, and why site search matters. Well, first of all, an effective site search is what's going to help visitors choose what to buy and choose to buy. So 73% of visitors are going to leave a site within seconds if the experience is poor. Without effective site search, visitors are going to leave for a competitor. Watching search behaviour also helps merchants understand their visitors, and I think site search, as ranges get bigger, as competition gets greater, and as the demand for a quality customer experience becomes stronger, site search becomes even more important. And if you compare that with an in-store experience, the site search plays a very important role. Let me explain. I always liken it to the site search function being the equivalent of the in-store customer service representative. When you walk into a physical store, and the larger it is, the harder it is to find the items you want, even if they're nicely laid out. The customer service representative might help you find that piece of jewelry or the pair of shorts or the glasses or the particular item that you're looking for. And in the online environment, site search obviously enables that function and replicates that experience. So hence it is an often overlooked but a critical part of the e-commerce journey. So I'll let the guys take it away now, and I'd like to introduce first of all Wes Blundy and then Mark Brixton to have a chat to you.
Thanks, Grant. Hi, everyone. Just thought we'd start off with a quick bit of background on Diva. For those who are not familiar with this, we find most women in Australia very familiar, but not many males are. As you'll see on the next slide, we've been around for a while, starting in 2003 with our first store in Sydney. Up there now you can see a bit of background on where we are, but we've also been working really hard on the online space, trying new things all the time to really try and improve the customer experience. A couple examples there of things we're doing at the moment are free returns, return online or in store, 3-hour delivery in Sydney, parcel point integration, and the upcoming Click Frenzy we're really excited about. But the key one today, obviously, that we wanted to talk about was improving our site search. And the reason we engaged SLI as our site search partner was because they're able to do the heavy lifting for us, which allows us, we've got a pretty small team, to get on the job with just running the business. One thing that really appealed was they take care of the setup and the integration, and there's no costs around that apart from a bit of time, but they did the heavy lifting there as well. I might flick over to Mark and he can run through the takeaways for the seminar today.
Hi everybody. So these are what we're hoping to express you today that you can take away, and we'll touch back on the slide at the end of the presentation, hopefully having covered everything off. But the idea behind SLI and how it runs the site search is that, as Wes pointed out, we're doing the work for the customer, and they're providing us with the data, and then the search itself is optimizing based on what a site's users want to see on the site. And then you can use the reporting that's built in to merchandise and sell even more products. But the idea behind it really is that we're running that part of the site for our customers so they can get on and run the rest of their business. And so we're able to index all types of content, so not just products but social media and non-product content, and there's also an SEO element to it as well. And so we'll touch on these over the course of the presentation, but I think it's probably best to get stuck in. So we're just going to take you step by step through a search experience on Diva. So Wes?
Okay, great. What we're looking at here is the rich autocomplete filter. That's a bit where you start typing your search query in the search box. Even after 2 letters, you can see here SP. It's given some search suggestions, and then further below we've got the visual display there already for the customer. What I love about this feature is the visual aspect. It's effectively, if they're searching for one of those top suggested products there, we've cut out a step for them. Instead of ordinarily taking them to the standard search results page, they can go straight to that product, and as we know, a lot of our online customers are looking for a convenient time-saving option. They don't have a lot of time. This is one thing that we believe appeals to them.
And so some of the things you can do with this as well is, so the search suggestions you see there at the top, rather than listing an A to Z of the database, these are actually searches that previous users have done on the site that have resulted in a positive experience, whether that be a sale or a click-through. And so the important thing to note there is it's getting the most popular searches to users, and so it's a wisdom of the crowds philosophy. And similarly, as Wes pointed out, if you were to scroll down and click on one of those products, it would take you straight to the product page. And the other thing that you can do here is you can also set it up so that if customer types in a SKU number or partial SKU number, then again, we'll just take them straight to the product page because the user knows what it is that they're looking for, and so you might as well just get them to the product because that's what they're there to buy.
Okay. So the next slide we're looking at here, and probably best Mark explain this one, but you can see that this is if they've gone through and completed a search. Popping up as the very #1 result position is this silver spike and skull bangle pack, and Mark, probably if you could explain to everyone why that's in the #1 spot.
Certainly. So the way that SLI works is the product's called Learning Search, and we're tracking activity, whether that be click activity or conversion metrics. We can configure it any way the client wants, but essentially it's the last line of text that you should be looking at there, the original position 27. So this used to be at position 27 in a result search. And so what's happened is the system's re-ranked it, and because that's what the users have found to be the most popular product for this particular search. And so this is happening in aggregate right across the entire site, and this is how the search optimizes and self-merchandises in a lot of ways. So this is a key part of what we do, as are the following steps. So Wes, if you just want to touch on this.
Yeah, sure. What we're looking at here is 2 different searches side by side. On the left, we've got just a broad search for necklaces. On the right, we've got a broad search for bracelets. But what we're showing here is, depending what term you search for, on the search results page, the refinements to narrow down that search, because you may not have time to wade through 500 necklace results, they're smart as well. So if you cast your eyes down the bottom to the collection refinement at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that for necklace, the most relevant collections are sorted to the top of that refinement list. So in our Young Divas range and Golden Touch range, we've got a lot of matching queries, where over on the right you can see that bracelet, the more relevant ranges based on previous search history, Beautiful Basics and Little Divas.
And so for this, products can exist in more than one category, and then dependent on the search term, we'll expose those categories. And this is fully configurable. For example, some customers with the colour have colour swatches, so you can actually click on the colour and we can map multiple colours to one. So for example, for the colour blue, you might have a blue swatch, but we might be mapping the colour cyan and the colour navy and the colour midnight all to the word blue, so customers can drill down. You can also do things like have brand logos potentially, or price sliders or price ranges. It's entirely up to the customer, and it's just important to note that it's best reflected in what the customer is trying to do with their users on their site. So it's not just a cut and dry one size fits all. And onto the sorting options.
So over in the top right of the screen here, we can see it's defaulting. First, yeah, you've got your standard ways to display, whether how many per page, view all, etc. But the best part for me is the next one over, where it defaults to sort by popularity, and this is the crux of the benefit for me here. And with the sort by popularity, it's actually fantastic for 2 reasons. The first is the data is always going to be smarter than our intuition, and whilst we might think that a certain watch is going to be the most popular with customers, well, turns out the data never lies, and it actually puts the most popular one at the top. So people are searching, they're in a hurry. The more relevant results, the more likely to buy they are, and again, they don't have time to wade through pages and pages, so if we put the best ones at the top. But the second reason why this is great as well is as Mark mentioned before, the whole harnessing the herd mentality to influence people. Just by chance, I was actually listening to a Freakonomics podcast on the weekend on this topic, and a bit like the animals, the fish swim in schools, the birds fly in flocks, and as much as us humans like to think we're all individuals, we actually find a lot of comfort in knowing, hey, if I'm a bit unsure about this product, but it's actually one of the most popular on the site, all these other people can't be wrong, and I can almost outsource part of my decision making to the fact that everyone else likes it.
And so this is how the site with the learning element is actually learning and reordering the products by popularity. And just with the options here too, you see in this view it's grid. For some customers it's list view, and for other customers it's a hybrid of the two. So it depends a little on the products that you're selling. Certainly for the apparel customers, it's more often than not we'll do grid view, whereas for customers that are selling sometimes more technical products like electronics, for example, then there's some value in having it in list view because you want to find out information about the product. And something else which I can't stress enough, and I'll probably stress again later in the presentation, is how important it is to look at the data rather than making decisions that are subjective based on what you think that your users should see. So these are search suggestions, sorry to steal your thunder, Wes. But part of what we're doing is because we're tracking activity across the site, we learn how searches and products relate to one another. And so you can see here that in a search for ear cuff, the system automatically has learned that ear cuff, cuff, metal cuff, earrings, feather, tunnel, etc. all relate to one another. And so this is based on us tracking the activity across the site. And the reason why this works so well is because often customers have in their head a fairly good indication of what it is that they're looking for, and they'll type something completely different. And so this is serving up suggestions to them to help spur them on to what it is that they're originally looking for, or in some cases give them ideas about what they could be looking for.
Okay. The merchandising feature, well, there's a few components bit to it, but the one that works really well for us is our a huge part of our business is the fast fashion. Our fashion ranges are only generally in store for about 8 weeks, with lots of trends that we like to move fast on. And so for our customers, for a lot of them, it's really important for them to be maybe the first amongst their friends to be wearing something. So we get to make use of, like you can see here, the new flag appearing on certain search results. Again, rather than just having the new category, a little bit of a visual overlay, we find our customers like and helps them find those newer products.
And so the way that works is, so SLI works off a data feed, or in some cases a crawl of the client's site, and that's how we index the content. But in the case of Wes, there might be a date in the data feed, and so we can look at that date and determine that anything that was added within a couple of weeks gets a new flag attached to it. And other things that we're doing here is we're adding these custom refinements, so I can, if a user's coming in and they're price conscious, they can sort just by items that are on sale, or alternatively in this case, just by items that are online exclusive. So there's a myriad options depending on what data is associated with the product or what it is that your users are trying to do on your site. And so part of that is you can see things here like the breadcrumb trail. So you can select, in this case, online exclusive and sale have been selected, so I'm just looking at items that I can only buy online and that are on sale, and then you can obviously select them and also unselect them if you want. So you've got the breadcrumb trail that allows you as the user to control what it is that you're seeing on the site, and making everything visible to the users is important, but it gives them control and makes them feel like they're not lost in the site. And so to that end, there's a framework of best practices that we adhere to, because users, particularly on an e-commerce site, have been groomed to have it work a particular way, and often, if it's not designed that way, then it results in people leaving the site. So you've got to give them what they know and give them the tools to use it. Wes, you could probably talk to this, could you?
Yeah, sure. So as much as we try, and the learning search definitely helps, there's still terms from time to time that we don't have anything that matches that. Now that might be because they've spelled it incorrectly, and we haven't yet put in the misspelling, or it hasn't picked that up automatically, or it might be because we don't actually sell bags, for example, or purses, and someone's hoping to find them. What we originally had when customers search for a term that we had no result for was a pretty boring page that just basically said, sorry, nothing matched your search. Basically, we obviously want to improve that, and it's a bit similar going back to what happens in store. If a customer walks up to one of our team members in store and says, hey, I'm really looking for this, do you have it? We don't just say no. We say, hey, look, really sorry we don't have it, but have you seen this awesome new range, or we've got something pretty similar, or here's something that's really popular right now. And customizing the no results page was a way we could offer a similar experience online to still maybe try and show them something they might like, even if it's not what they were originally looking for. So Mark's just been flipping through there. We're suggesting misspellings, where we've got the popular searches that other people are searching for, and then down the bottom is some of the most popular products.
And so these pages are configurable to have them however you want, but often it's a case of making suggestions as to what we think they meant, what other people have searched for on the site and found useful, as well as popular products on the site. And so it's making the best of a bad situation, pretty much, because no matter what you try and do, some users will always manage to type in something different and potentially break the service.
Mark, it's Grant here. I might just jump in quickly.
Sure.
We've just had a couple of questions come through. So while you were talking about popular, is the ranking for popular by best selling or most searched by?
It's completely configurable. So we look at a variety of attributes, whether it be click-through rates onto product pages, and that's taking into conjunction the use of refinements, as well as the learning that's taken place with the search suggestions that we looked at in the earlier slide, and also looking at conversion metrics as well, so we can weight by stuff that's sold the most and factor in things that are in stock if need be as well. So there's a variety of ways of doing it. It's just what's best for the customer.
And one more, can you also get this to work on a mobile site?
Yes, and I'm not sure if we touch on that later in the presentation or not. I don't think we do, but we run mobile for a lot of our customers, and it runs exactly the same way as you do for the main site. We're just running the mobile search result pages for the customers, or in some case we're running the mobile home page, the mobile result pages, and the mobile product pages. So everything except for the cart, and the reason for that is because mobile is such a search-driven experience because of the real estate available on a mobile device.
All right, look, I'll let you go on, but just a reminder to our audience that if you do want to ask a question, you can type it into the questions box on your panel, and we'll get to those before the end of the session. Okay, Mark, over back to you.
Thanks, Grant. I think back to Wes for landing pages.
Okay, so what we're looking at here is in the very tiny small print in the search box, we've got customer up there searching for shipping. Now, on our old site search, that would probably bring up a no results found page because we don't have any products named shipping, but we know that the customer's not looking for a product called shipping, it's looking for how much the shipping costs or how long is it going to take. So in the configuration panel of the site search tool in our back end, we go in and say, hey, when someone's searching for shipping, send them to this page rather than a product search results page. And there's a couple other ones that you can do that with that might be obvious for other sites out there. Careers is another good example.
Yeah, and even back to what I mentioned earlier, we can configure it so that if someone types in a SKU number or even a partial SKU number, we can jump straight to the product pages. So SLI is about product discovery, and it's about getting users to product. And so the quicker you can do that, we don't necessarily need them to see a search result page if they know the product or result that they're looking for. We'd rather just get them to that page.
Okay, basically the thing that is pretty cool about SLI, that they're constantly making suggestions of new technology and tools and widgets that we might want to try. Out of the plethora of options, there's a couple we've picked out to start with. The one I'm most excited about is up the top there. Within our Facebook page, which we've got over 100,000 Facebook followers, we're adding in pretty soon a way to search our product catalogue within the Facebook environment, and that's really cool. I'm really excited about that. Again, Mark's probably best to explain how it works.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably touch on, there's a slide later on that has got a a demonstration of one of our UK clients that's running the Facebook search on their site. But obviously, you know, with 100,000 users or 100,000 fans on Facebook, and given the demographic of Wes's clients, then it'd be well worthwhile having some product there so you get some crossover engagement with those users. And so the other part of what we do, we've got a lot of reporting as well, and so it's important to note that everything, all the functionality comes with SLI, and different customers use different pieces of that functionality depending on what they want to do, but we don't charge for that. And a big part of what we have is reporting. So whereas your existing analytics is going to be potentially more around revenue, ours is more about things that are trending on the site and what users want to see on the site. And so a couple of examples with reporting which we can touch on a little bit later, which will give you a good illustration of how this works. So over to me now. So I've been with SLI for around 5 years, 4 of which have been spent in Australia. And as far as the background of the company goes, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but it actually started out as a search engine back before the .com crash happened, and was sold to NBC, the broadcaster, which was owned by General Electric at that time. And the idea came out of New Zealand, and when it was sold to General Electric, it was running the 6th largest internet property at the time, which was a site called snap.com. And post the .com crash happened, these guys brought back the technology, and a pivot took place whereby we started providing the internal site search for e-commerce sites. And so we're now running that search for around 500 sites globally. We still do some publishing sites like Qantas, for example, but the bulk of our work is really in the e-commerce space, and all the features and functionality that we release are really targeted towards those customers. And so a big part of what we do is the learning and the tracking of what people want to see on the site. And again, the faster you can get people to the things that it is that they're looking for, then the better the chance that you have of selling it. And so the more that you can learn about them, the more that you can merchandise. And more often than not, you don't see a lot of merchandising on online stores, but when you go into a retail bricks and mortar store, you see how much effort's been put into it. And it should be no different with online. You're tailoring and trying to reinforce that path to purchase for your users. And the other thing to note is that things happen externally, like a new product's release, like Apple releases an iPhone, for example. That's going to, if you're selling electronics on your site, that's going to potentially change the trends and what people are expecting to see. And you should cater for that demand and give the people what it is that they're looking for, or if not that, a similar product that you've at least got a chance of being able to upsell or cross-sell to them. And so I'm going to touch on some examples off Diva now, and I've tried to stick to Australian examples where possible. So we run the search on Deals Direct, and you can see here this is another example of the learning working. So you can see in this particular search for a quilt, this #1 product used to be at position 218, and so the site's automatically re-ranked the product to the top position because that's what users want to see for that particular search. And again, this all happens automatically. So something else that we're doing is you can see here on Adore Beauty, they're selling products first and foremost, and so when you do a search for shampoo, they're the products we default to. But the other thing they have is they've developed some non-product content, and so they'd like to expose that on the site. And so in this case, we've split it up by tabs, and you can see we've got the products tab, we've got a discussions tab where we're indexing their non-product content, as well as an articles tab you can see at the end, which is their how-to and FAQ articles. So if you've got the content there, you should make it available to your users because it reinforces their purchase decision, and it also gives them less reason to leave your site to research a product they may be thinking about buying. And it's just as easily here to pull in, social media content like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. In fact, I think we'll see some examples of that a little bit later on. And so with the merchandising console that we have, and we touched on this earlier, or Wes touched on this earlier with the shipping example on Diva. When you search, you get a redirect to the shipping page. You can see here I've done a search on oo.com.au for cricket, and I'm getting this cricket banner appearing. And so via the merchandising console, you can associate pieces of creative with keywords or combinations of keywords, and you can have default banners that are overridden by campaign-based banners and have them running for specific date ranges if you do have a campaign running. So it's fully configurable, and you can have as many or as few as you like. And it's just important to do some branding potentially around the products it is that you're selling. Something that we're doing here, and again, this is another part of the merchandising console which the reporting exposes, is that we've tied in synonyms. So 16 ounce and 1 pound lead to the same search result. And that's because the language of your users may differ to the language that you've used to describe the products it is that you're selling, or it may be that, for example, the words crocodile and alligator in a lot of people's minds mean the same thing, and so you can tie those words together and have them leading off to the same result page. And it's our reporting that exposes all of that. In fact, probably one of the most popular ones we see is electronics providers. So laptop is what consumers call them, but internally they're known as notebooks. So tying those terms together ensures that people find the products it is they're looking for. And now I am conscious of time here, and so I appreciate that I am going reasonably quickly, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of time for questions at the end. And so a big part of what we do, we have a product called Site Champion, and the way that works is the search results that we're generating for our clients actually get picked up and indexed by the search engines. And so this is a Google search I've done for toy storage, and you can see the number 3 organic result is a toy storage at Deals Direct. And if you look at the URL closely there, you'll see it's a search.dealsdirect, and so it's one of our pages. And so what's happened is historically someone's gone into the site, they've done a search for toy storage. Our system has automatically learned that that's a good result page, and so we've cleaned it up and we've made it available for the spiders to index that content. And so the byproduct of running the search on the site is that you start to see additional organic traffic come into the site as those pages get picked up and indexed by the search engines. And this is the Facebook search that we're due to be launching on Diva. And you can see here, this is an apparel customer, Bowden, over in the UK. And they've got this tab down the bottom here for their upcoming collection, so autumn 2012. And so what we're doing here, if users click on that link, it actually takes them through to a Facebook page with a search box. And so we're displaying part of their collection online, and users can come in and just use it as they normally would, but within Facebook. So they can do a search, all the normal refinement options, and the facets as well. And if users click on one of those products, then it will just redirect them off to the client's site, and so they can choose to make that purchase. So we're into the reporting now, and a big part of searching is the fact that you can actually track activity and learn from what it is that your users want to see. And so you can see here 2 reports, or 2 of the same report for the same customer, but over a different period. And you can see how flowering dwarf shrubs the trend has changed, so less people are looking for it. So from this, you get an understanding of what people are wanting to see on your site, and it gives you the ability to make merchandising decisions, potentially adding products to your carousel on your homepage, or doing some merchandising within your site so you can cater to that demand that we're seeing across the site. Some other pieces of reporting here, you can see how searches trend over time. So this is for an electronics provider, and you can see that the topmost line, the brown one, and down the bottom it's for a tablet sale that the customers run. And so you can see what it would amount to the marketing collateral and the ramp up to the promotion, how the promotion's taken place, and then how that demand's tailed off. So if you're seeing these sort of trends on your site for products that you're not aware of, again, it's an opportunity to do some merchandising and to make those products easily findable for your users. So this here is far and away our most popular report. It searches with poor results. I think, Wes, you've probably got some good comments on how this has helped you.
Yeah, well, Mark, there was a real winner for us. Just quickly at Diva, a lot of our younger customers, and a big selling item is best friend charms, or best friend necklaces, which we have a fair few of on the site. But what we found with access to this data was that we had a very poor search result because customers are searching for them by BFF, which for those not in the know is best friends forever. And we didn't have that mentioned anywhere in the product names or the product description. So for BFF, they're getting a terrible result when actually we've got dozens of products that match. This was able to highlight it really well. The other thing that we found this useful is we now share this poor search results report with the buying and the product developers to give them a bit of a feel for what products there might be demand for that they hadn't currently considered and our customers might be after.
Yeah, so in some cases it may be that you have too many products, and so for a search term like one of our clients, Surf Stitch, if you search for a particular brand, it'll redirect to the category page, so users can go in and select a subcategory because that particular brand carries so many different types of products. It may be that you don't have enough category depth, so you've got too few products to cater for the demand. Or it may be that the language of the user differs to the way that you've described your products, and so you can use things like synonyms to create that link and enable the users to find the products it is that they're looking for. A couple of other things to touch on with the reporting. So this is a facet activity. So facets more commonly known as refinements. But you can see how people are sorting. And so down the left-hand side, obviously runs in an order, whether it's category, brand, and price. If you see on your site that all your users are sorting by price, then it's an opportunity for you to put the price sort at the top, just to make it easier for users to find it and to cater for that demand. And it's also interesting just to see how people are looking across the site, and particularly with the category one, it may be an opportunity if you're getting a lot of people looking at a particular category, you could potentially pull that out and make it part of your navigation if need be. Similarly, we've got the sorting, high to low, low to high, just giving users those options. You can see one of them there. We can also offer sort by Facebook likes, which is great, depending on the demographic that you're appealing to, bringing that whole social element into your search. Down to the last couple of slides now, but I can't stress enough the importance of testing and understanding and looking at your analytics, because as I mentioned earlier, what you think may be the best experience for your users and the products that they're looking for is often completely different to what it is that they're looking for. SLI has a built-in multivariate testing platform, and so you can test things like whether a mouse over pop-up might be good for your users, or whether having a buy now button on the search result page is a good option. But it's just important to test and get statistical analysis done, so you rather than making choices that you think are going to work, because often the way that you think about your products, because you know them so intimately, is so very different from the way that users on your site expect to be able to find and look for them. Which brings us pretty much to the second to last slide, which is back to the takeaways slide that we talked about. So I'll just talk to this, and I think we'll turn it over for questions. And so with SLI, we're doing all the work is done on our side, and so we don't charge for ongoing engineering or features. So it's just a case of getting the data for the customer, and then we'll design it and manage it the way that they want it to reflect the products that they're selling on their site. And the system's constantly optimizing the results to give your users what it is that they're looking for. And as part of this, we're able to provide reporting on trends and what people are expecting to find on the site, as well as giving business users the opportunity to merchandise through the use of redirects, landing pages, overriding the learning and manually configuring the products if they want to do it that way. And we can also index all types of content. So it's the social, it's the forums, blogs, and wikis, and then the byproduct of all of this, of course, is that those pages are getting picked up and indexed by the search engines to push in additional traffic. So with that, I will turn it over to the audience, and it's probably also worth pointing out that we've got some ebooks for tips on site search navigation and tips on site search that you can download from getsliebooks.com.au. So questions, anybody?
All right, Grant here. I'll just jump in and say thank you very much to both Mark and Wes for another enlightening and very comprehensive overview of how site search works. So I always learn a lot and find it pretty fascinating to understand how that works. We've just got to get through the questions quickly, but we've got quite a few from our audience, and thank you for staying engaged through all of that. So if you have stock that only stays online for a few days and is replaced by other items, can items still be indexed? Do you need minimum time on the website for the indexing to work, Mark?
So the short answer is we'll take the index at whatever frequency we need to. So every 10 minutes for some customers, but we're just checking for that automatically. And so we've got systems in place whereby new products get a look in, because you can imagine that if it was all based on solely clicks or conversions, then new products would never get a look in. And so we have time decay across the products, and that enables new products to get picked up and find themselves at the top of the results set. And then you've got the option to have sort options, so sort by just added, for example, like we saw earlier on Wes's site.
Now, another question: does the new flag on products help with them selling more than others? So the new flag.
Yeah, maybe I'll take with that one. I don't have any data I can share, but our feeling is absolutely yes. Because actually when we were just tweaking things around last week, there was a period where there was 2 days where the flags were off, and we only had the category to show by people clicking on new to show people that these were new products. And whilst again it's definitely not statistically reliable, but we have seen the benefits since the flags have come back on.
Now, can a banner be on all search results through SLI?
Yes. Yeah, so you can have default banners that are subsequently overridden based on rules for campaigns or having been tied into keywords. You can also have as many or as few banners what you would like appearing on the page.
Another one, and I've been asked this before as well, what's the minimum number of searches on a website for SLI to be beneficial?
Yeah, so generally speaking, and we do have customers that are a lot smaller, it just depends on how bad their search was to start with, but the starting point for us to give a positive ROI is around 25,000 monthly unique visitors. Anything around there and over and above, and certainly you're a fit for us. And so we don't have there's no setup or implementation cost with us, and we charge based off search volumes. So you are what you eat and you pay for what you use.
And one last one, what platform is Diva on, and how long did it take to integrate SLI?
We're on Magento, we're on Community Edition, and the integration, I'd have to check to give you exact, but it wasn't a huge project. It depends how many team you've got to respond to SLI's questions of, would you like it to look like this or would you like it to look like that? And it probably took me a bit longer than average, I'm sure, because some things sat in my inbox for a fair while. But the short answer is not too long.
Is the time was tied up in setting the business rules and the
no,
the things you wanted to get out of it rather than the actual integration?
No, the business rules come out of the box as being great, and then you can tweak to make them awesome rather than just great. The time for me in the setup was just thinking about things, right? Do we want them to display first up as grid view, or do we want them to display as whatever the alternative to grid view is?
List.
And, yeah, and things like, do you want a pin it for Pinterest button on the search results, and things like that. Making the decisions and deciding, just perfecting the look and feel was where I spent the time.
Yeah, I think we also learned.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can spend a lot of time on. Sorry, Mark, over to you.
I was going to say, with Wes, we sort of he was building his site at the same time we were launching, so there were a lot of changes along the way. But a typical build for us is we like to say around 4 to 6 weeks, subject to us getting the data. But often, so we'll build it up in our demo environment and then present it to the customer, and often that gives them some ideas about other things they'd like to add to their feed or other content they'd like to get indexed. So it's an engaging process once you see it visually and understand what you can do.
All right, and a couple more questions if you guys have got time, and there's still quite a large audience in there. So, Mark, just if you can talk a bit about the difference between using a software as a service solution compared to an installed solution. I think someone also asked something about solar earlier as a comparison.
Sure. Well, I guess everyone's heard about the cloud and how it's increasingly getting bandied around as the brave new world, but essentially the difference between on-premise and SaaS is with on-premise you have a piece of software that you install, manage and maintain yourself, and so you're running your own server, you're configuring it, you're resourcing it, and any changes that you make are made by yourself in conjunction with your IT department or the developers that you use. And so with our model, we're software as a service, and it's what we call full service. And so everything's hosted and managed on our side. And so in our case, it actually comes with an account manager who makes those changes and works with the developers on our end. So all the maintenance and everything is done by us, so you don't need to involve your IT department, and that's or developers, and that's often something that people very much appreciate, just given the experience that you tend to have with them. As far as the Solar goes, for those of you who don't know, Solar is an indexer for indexing content, and it comes actually baked into a lot of the platforms, one of which is Magento in the Enterprise Edition, and so you can think about that as very similar to on-premise, and that you can configure it to work how you want, assuming you have some knowledge of how it works and an interest in the management, maintenance, and hosting of it. And then any changes that you want to make, obviously, then you'd need to be completely reconfigured. So it depends on your level of knowledge and your level of interest in it.
All right. Well, look, thank you, everyone. We've gone a bit over time there, but we appreciate everyone who stuck around. And a reminder that this webinar is recorded and will be available early next week, and also via Power Retail. And thanks to all the attendees, especially Leonie, who I found out just bought a mustache necklace on Diva. So there you go, Wes. This was worth
Fantastic. We love the girls supporting November as well.
All right. Thanks very much, guys. And again, this recording will be available if you want to tell other people to look it up on Power Retail.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.